Thank you very much. The Embassy of Argentina in the United Kingdom. Fervor de Buenos Aires, 1923, comprises 35 poems written in blank verse. This work has the meaning and value of time, an existential time that belongs to human being. The book is a philosophical interpretation and affection for the city of Buenos Aires. This passion is revealed in verses through the elements that define the city. Through the elements that shape the city, there appear the square, the neighborhoods, the suburbs, the people, la Recoleta, and the tango. This love and time are the two elements that circumscribe the whole piece of art. We also find death and dream. At times it goes from ordinary life to philosophical issues, the presence of philosophical problems. We find the affective interpretation of the capital, passion, the city, and the destiny, coexisting in the ambivalence of the author. First, inner ambivalence that leads us to ordinary life, to the city, passion and emotion. And secondly, it also leads us to philosophical, profound thinking. In all the poems, the first person is that one who lives in houses in energetic streets, warm with haste and rush, and those from the sweet suburbs move by gloom and decline. And inside that gloom and decline, we find the others outside, aliens with merciful trees. In La Recoleta, we observe the tranquility of death. Beautiful is the serenity of the tombs, the silence, the peace of the death. It is that place where Borges longs for his burial. His interpretation of the city will be a plane which will contain part of his life. The city has and contains not only the personal part of the poet, but what is real, the doors, and these same objects will be served for his own reflection. The city will also have that marvel which will make him think of something real, really absolute, as death is. It will also have its steps, and that which is certain or uncertain is all those yesterdays which he will keeps in some way or other. As the poet says, the city represents a labyrinth of streets, the same streets he had sung or of before are the ones now waiting for him. Time is slightly suggested, and there is a link between the dying evening and the coming morning. Finally, the poet appears reflected as a reflection of his constant thought. He had spoken before about all these things the city contained, but he cannot put them aside, what he thinks about himself and about his death. In the book that he published, El Otro, El Mismo, in 1699, he was referring to Lugones, another director, but not of the National Library, but of the Library of Teachers Public Library. And the book was dedicated to Lugones. And he said, I would like you, that who was always thinking about books and theory, I would like, and I hope, he said, that you like this book I give to you. And that's why he quoted William Huxley, that I like a lot, who said, "Books let us into their souls and lay open to us the secrets of our own." He told me once, Borges, try to say this because he's a good writer. Now we get into the conjectural poem 1943 that I will not read because I say that it will take a long. And in the dedicatory of El Otro El Mismo I just mentioned, he says, "If I am not mistaken, you didn't dislike me, Lugones, and you would have liked to enjoy some of my works. That never happened, but this time you turn the pages over and over, and you will read some verses with your approval, perhaps because you have recognized your own voice in them," we have said, "perhaps because you are more interested in the sound theory than in the deficient practice." In the dedicatory, he feels that sleep comes to pieces, and he compares sleep with water. With this, he means that in life, everything disappears as water in water. Besides, he says to himself and to the same time to Lugones, that in some way both of them will mix up, since time, being a chronology, is going to join them, and both of them are going to get lost. Time, belonging to each of them, will meet and will only be one time, only one orb, only one symbol, only one poem. And this book, which he has dedicated to Lugones, in which he has accepted, is nothing else but the voice of the three directors in the voice of only one man, and he's creating an illimited time, that means timeless, a time in which another time and another same time, a time when everything will have to die, but it will be as a resurrection. That is what we think, we feel, and when we finish reading this poem. Laprida discovers himself in the same poem. With this, he wants to emphasize the discovery and knowledge of himself. All this idea of the conjecture and of the other and I myself would have thought before dying derives from Robert Browning. Borges told me this personally. This is not written in any book. This comes from Robert Browning. The poem opens with an exposed plain where the battle takes place, where everything scatters, where death, the air, the battles, the bullets, flood, the soil. There, on the same soul he steps on, Laprida thinks about what he will die, that is what he was, what he studied, and that he himself was a man who has nothing to do with battles. On the contrary, his voice declared our independence, July the 9th, 1816, and he finds himself now surrounded by barbarians, and that his blood is paralyzed, the same as his body and his soul. He's frightened and he's lost. Then he only thinks about escaping to any place he cannot go. And in this case, is the South. In the South, he will be trapped by Aldao's forces. Aldao is a man who doesn't know anything about Laprida's name or what his voice did. These adjacencies in the poem are evident. Laprida, according to the author, is the symbol of the past, where the myth of the courage was born. He is victim of the bearer of the courage of this time. We always dislike the idea of talking about literature or poetry, but we sometimes feel like expressing in our own words that in a way poetry, although it is a fact which belongs to his orb, does not never fail to be a miracle. We do not know if his verses can have something of Whitman, Robert Browning, or Kipling. We do not know if immortality exists, if one succeeds to another life, and the other one is on oneself. We do not know if it would have been possible to feel the existence with only intellectual facts. We feel that the problem of death is a dramatic fact for the man of letters. He who has never thought of if one dies completely or disappears, the same as the name one has been given, but one has not chosen. Like those two dates, given extremely against our will, we do not know if it's possible to exist. Thank you very much.